The productivity myth, why doing more is keeping you small. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You wake up tired, you open your laptop, and before your coffee's even cold, you've already failed your to-do list. You add breathe just so you can check something off your list. And somewhere between the emails, the errands, and the essential dread, you start to believe that being busy means you're worth something. That's not drive, that's dependence. So welcome to your favorite drug, productivity. Busyness is just burnout without branding. So today on Too Late My Ass, let's talk about it. Ever feel like life passed you by while you were being responsible? Like everyone else got a head start on success, on happiness or purpose, and now you're just trying not to fall asleep during your own life. Well, welcome to Too Late My Ass. This is the podcast for anyone who's ever thought it was too late to dream again, to build again, or begin again. So spoiler alert, it's not. I'm Faye Chappell, and I'm here to help you burn the rule book, rewrite the script, and become the main character in your next chapter. So whether you're 39, 49, 59, or 79, this isn't about getting your groove back. It's about finally giving yourself permission to freaking exist exactly as you are. So hit subscribe, tell that inner critic to take several seats, and let's make this your comeback era, because too late, my ass. First, let's talk about the addiction to busy. We were raised on a steady diet of the grind culture and guilt, right? Our parents called it work ethic. Corporate America called it hustle. Your Fitbit called it congratulations. But it's all the same thing. It's a chemical chase for validation. So here's the thing nobody tells you. Productivity was never about progress. It was about control, right? We've talked about this. You really need to understand this in order to move forward. The Industrial Revolution didn't just invent machines. It invented metrics for human value, right? We became assembly lines with emotions, and now we call it a calendar invite. We confused movement with meaning. So every time you say you don't have time, what you really mean is, I don't feel safe being still. Because stillness is where truth gets loud, right? And we've been trained to fear that sound, the sound of nothing. So ask yourself, what would happen if I did nothing for 2 hours today? Write down every single excuse your brain gives you. That's your withdrawal talking, nothing else, right? It's that busyness brain, right? Let's get scientific for a second. Your brain is addicted to dopamine loops, little bursts of reward that fire every time you complete a task, right? Check an email, dopamine. Reply to Slack, dopamine. Hit send on that fourth follow-up nobody asked for, dopamine, with a side of panic, basically. It's not like you like being busy. Your brain likes being busy. It's cheaper than therapy and easier to track on a spreadsheet, basically, right? But here's the problem. Dopamine is a short-term chemical that requires constant refills. So we build our identities around being needed, because needed feels safer than at peace. That's why vacation feels like withdrawal and the rest feels like laziness, right? Your brain is literally asking, where's my next hit of urgency? I can't relax. This is ridiculous. We don't have time for a vacation. But that's what you're feeling. So if you only feel valuable when you're busy, you're not working, you're escaping. Think about that. You're escaping. So why doing more? Why is doing more keeping you small? Like, what's the science of overdrive? Let's think about that a little bit. Because here's the truth. Nobody is selling you another planner will admit, okay? Nobody who's selling you another planner they will not admit this to you. Productivity is not a mindset. It's a chemical addiction. So when you're in the zone, your body is pumping out cortisol and dopamine like an espresso machine, right? It's intoxicating. You feel sharp. You feel necessary. You feel alive. But stay there too long and your nervous system starts whispering, We can't live here. This is not good for us. We cannot live here, right? And then comes the crash, the brain fog, the irritability, the why am I crying over an Outlook reminder moment? That's not weakness. That's biology begging you for balance. You can't out-organize a nervous system that's in survival mode. So every time you chase the high of efficiency, your body learns chaos equals safety. So even when things calm down, you'll subconsciously create new fires just to feel normal again. Think about it. How many of you go on vacation, on holiday, and you start thinking of a million things that you have to do while you're on vacation because you don't understand how to not be doing something? We call it being a go-getter, right? Science calls it a stress loop. And if you're thinking, but I like to be productive, that's not you talking. That's your dopamine dealer in your system saying, yeah, we love to be productive, right? Let me tell you how it broke me. After a few years, I was running 3 companies. I was mentoring founders, answering emails in the grocery line. I was raising kids. I was being a full-time caregiver. Usual chaos cocktail, right? And I wore exhaustion like my eyeliner. So when they said, I don't know how you do it all, I took it as a compliment instead of cry for help, right? So one morning I opened my laptop and I stared at a blank screen, not lying, for 45 minutes and nothing came out. I didn't even, no ideas, no words, not even guilt. I had nothing, just static. I didn't see anything. I didn't move, didn't do anything. Have you had those moments? I'm sure you have. That was my system rebooting or trying to. I didn't burn out because I was weak. I burnt out because I built my identity around output, right? And if you only rest when you've earned it, you'll never rest at all. I wish I could say that I truly learned it immediately, but let's be honest. I just turned my recovery into another project, to be truthful. I tracked my meditation minutes literally like revenue. I graded my self-care, 10 out of 10, still miserable, right? And I took it to a science. I did everything I was supposed to do, but it was all based on the fact that I needed that productivity dopamine hit. And it wasn't until I stopped asking, how much can I get done? And started asking, how do I want to feel when it's done? That things slowly started shifting. That's when I started this TLMA, Too Late My Ass podcast, because I recognized that I didn't want to keep going and doing a million things. I wanted to feel good every time I did an episode. I spoke with one of our members. I produced another masterclass for them that really made a difference. So that's the question productivity can't answer, because productivity doesn't care if you're fulfilled. It only cares if you are efficient, right? How many of us, you work and work and work, especially if you're in the online business, you work every day and you produce a lot of things, but really it doesn't make you happy and it doesn't really get done what you wanted to get done, right? So think about it. I mean, it really got to me, and here's what I finally realized, and you might need to hear it too. Most overachievers aren't chasing success. We're outrunning irrelevance. Does that one stick with you? That one might hurt, right? We are not chasing success. We're outrunning irrelevance. So we fill every single moment with noise, thinking if we stop, we'll disappear, right? And we learn that early, that visibility equals value. But here's the paradox of that. The busier you are, the smaller your impact becomes. Oh, think about that. The busier you are, the smaller your impact becomes. Because real influence requires reflection. The reflection doesn't happen at 1.5 playback speed or 2.0. Reflection happens when you actually take the time to reflect. Doing more isn't ambition, it's avoidance, right? It's avoidance. It's avoidance at every step of the way. So when you slow down long enough to listen, the things that actually matter, creativity, intuition, connection, they finally have time to breathe, right? And that's when the productivity evolves into more of a purpose. Does that make sense? So we have to really think about what's a deprogramming plan, right? How do you detox from an identity that's built on output? How do you do that? Not with another planner that some people I know would love to buy in all multicolors. That would be a shout out to my producer. And not with a Sunday reset video and not with a full-blown mental reboot. No, here's my TLMA deprogramming plan. And these are the 3 steps to stop measuring your worth in essentially Wi-Fi bars, right? So number 1, this is for all of our insiders, in our club, in our membership. You obviously have access to all of these in written form, but if haven't joined us yet, please do so. So what is the plan? The plan is number 1, pause before you produce. Before you say yes to anything, say, who am I trying to impress with this? Who am I trying to impress? If the answer is someone else's LinkedIn post, it's a no. Okay? So really think about it. I have, it happens to me all the time. I'll be scrolling, I'll see somebody's post and I'll be like, oh, I need to do one on that too. What am I trying to do? I'm not trying to impress anyone. So when I come up with these episodes, I know that I'm doing it for my members, for my followers, for my listeners, and not to impress somebody on a post. Number 2, I want you to replace your metrics with moments. Does that sound like fun? I know everyone loves metrics, but track what matters that can't be measured. Well, that's a tricky one, right? Laughs, sunsets, that's another shout out to my producer. Conversations where you actually listen, because no spreadsheet has a column for contentment, right? So track those moments that matter. No matter where I am, what I'm doing, if one of my kids calls, I pick up the phone. Because I don't know when I can get that moment back, right? Because let's face it, kids get older, they don't call you that much. So when they do, I want to take advantage of those moments to make sure that I am taking those moments instead of metrics, right? And then number 3 is I want you to redefine rest as resistance. I know, you don't need permission to pause. You just need practice. Rest is how you starve the system that profits from your exhaustion, right? Stillness isn't a luxury. It's a strategy for staying human. This was a hard one for me. I had a very challenging life. Sleep was not at the top of my list. I still don't sleep that much, but I make it a priority where normally I would have stayed up and did more work. Now I just go into my room, even though I'm not tired, but I know that I'm letting my body and my brain rest. And instead of, I need to do one more thing, I need to do one more thing. So if you want to do it maybe at another time, I want you to pick 1 hour this week to do absolutely nothing productive. That's a very hard ask. It's a hard ask for me. Very hard ask. And this is one's directed at me. No background podcast. Because when I want to relax, I always put something in the background because I think I need to be doing something. I can't just sit. I don't want no laundry while you relax, right? Just sit in your own life. Sit outside, enjoy the view, go for a walk. If you feel itchy or worthless, congratulations, because that's the withdrawal leaving your system, right? And that's what's changing. That's what's resetting your mindset, because you don't actually fear failure. We fear being seen as unbusy, right? When somebody says, what are you doing? If you ever get that call when somebody says, what are you doing? And you immediately have to think of something, right? You never can say, nothing, I'm just relaxing, because you feel guilty. You always have to come up with what you're doing. But you can't reinvent your life while filling every single minute with noise. I was just having a conversation with my producer, Stacy, before this podcast, and I was like, she's away for this weekend. And I was like, oh, what should I do this weekend? I have a day off. What market should I go to? Where should I go? Instead of just saying, you know what? I'm just going to do nothing, because I'm trying to fill every minute. And that's when I have to take a step back, right? So here's what I want you to remember. The next time you open your calendar and it looks like Tetris, delete 3 things right now. The world will survive, and your nervous system might not if you don't. So just go into your calendar right now, open it up on your phone, on your laptop, and delete 3 things that you really don't need to do. I have a lot of things in my calendar. I have webinars that I signed up and wanted to listen to. I have live events. I have all these different things that I don't really need to do. So I'm doing it. I want you to try it too, because you don't owe the world constant access to your energy just because you're capable, right? That's the kind of the predicament I find myself in a lot of the times, right? Because people come to me because I'm capable of doing something, right? But I can't always give them everything they want. I need to protect some of that energy. When you start valuing your presence over your productivity, everything shifts. Your relationships, your creativity, and your sanity, right? So here is your TLMA truth bomb this week. Let's end with the truth bomb for really overachieving soul, basically. You are not meant to be efficient. You're meant to be effective. And they are not the same thing. Efficiency says, how fast can I do this? Effectiveness says, should I even be doing this at all? So if you spend your whole life optimizing the wrong things, you don't end up successful. You end up exhausted. So let's retire that myth that busyness equals value. Productivity was a badge you were handed by a system, and it needed your compliance, not your creativity, right? You cannot heal from burnout by color coding your chaos, no matter how pretty that planner is. So if you needed a sign to slow down, this is it. I want you to close this tab, take a walk, let silence do some of the work for you. That's your wake-up call, my friends. Productivity is not purpose, and busyness is not bravery. If you want to go deeper into deprogramming that always-on mindset, then join me and Stacy in this week's Inner Circle Backstage episode, where we're going to talk more about why doing less is more is really your biggest power move. We're diving into the psychology of control, the fear of irrelevance, and how to build a life that feels as good as it looks on paper. Too late? My ass.
Thanks for listening to Too Late My Ass. If this episode made you feel seen or heard or a little more ready to take your damn life back, then go ahead and hit that follow button. If you want to go deeper, grab your free comeback kit at toolatemyass.com and join the Act 2 Insiders list for weekly tools, community, and reminders that your story is far from over. Remember, you're not done. You're just getting started. Too Late My Ass, produced by the City Media Group.